The first thing you need to remember, guys, is that we have short adjectives in class, okay? So short adjectives are like this one, a one-syllable adjectives. Remember, small, fast, strong, hard, late, tall, and cold. All of them are examples of one-syllable adjectives or small adjectives or short adjectives. So when you add the suffix er, in this case, it sounds like smaller, smaller, okay? And when you write smaller here, smaller, let's see. Oh, it's too big now. I'm gonna make it smaller. Here, okay. So when you write smaller, then it turns into a comparative. And small in Spanish is pequeño. Smaller is más pequeño. Okay. Now, all these expressions are usually used with this expression, smaller than, okay? So you say más pequeño que, right? Smaller than. And the same thing happens when you have the other adjectives, right? For example, fast turns into faster, right? And you say rápido, más rápido que, right? So strong is fuerte, and then you say stronger or más fuerte que. Hard, harder, harder than, late, later, tall, taller, and cold, you say colder, okay? O más frío que. For example, when you're talking about this, you can say Superman is stronger than Batman. If you're comparing two superheroes, right? Stronger than, okay? So we have the next one. For example, we have the United States of America is colder than El Salvador, okay? And that is another example, right? USA is colder than El Salvador. So when we have short adjectives, we add er to make the comparative form. Now let's go for the next. Oh, there we go. So we have smaller, faster, stronger, harder, later, taller, and colder. All of these ones are examples of comparatives. And here we have the sentences. I'm going to ask, let's see, Jamilet Moran to read the sentences for the class, please.
The brown car is sharper than the black one. The giraffe is taller than the zebra.
Okay, so just the pronunciation here, the pronunciation is cheaper, cheaper. Repeat?
Cheaper.
Yes, cheaper. Now, the adjective here is cheap, which is barato in Spanish, right? So the brown car, this one, is cheaper than the black one, right? So we're saying this car is cheap, this car is not cheap, okay? So this is cheaper than. Now, the other one is the giraffe is taller than the zebra, okay? Taller than the zebra. That's the example. And the snake is longer than the lizard. Longer, más larga que, right? Next examples. So we have one syllable adjectives, big, fat, thin, hot, and wet. They are one syllable adjectives. Now, notice something. When you have one syllable adjectives, you have to double the consonant and put er. So if you write, for example, like this, bigger, this is not correct. Okay? So what is the correct form? You have to put B, I, G, and then you have to double the letter G, right? You put here letter G. You have to double the letter G, and you can continue with the other expression, and you say ER, right? You say ER, okay? So that's the comparative form. Big, grande, bigger, más grande, right? Big, bigger. Fat, fatter, thin, thinner, hot, hotter, wet, wetter, right? Actually, we're gonna see those answers right now. Oops, just give me a second. There you go. So here, look, big turns into bigger, fat into fatter, thinner, hotter, and wetter, right? So, más gordo que, fatter, más delgado que, thinner, hotter, más caliente, wet, más mojado, wetter, right? And remember that next to this expression, we use this other expression, than, which means que, okay? So we continue with the next part, and here we have the examples, right? I'm going to ask Marlon to read the sentences for the class, please.
An elephant is bigger than a tiger. Mexico is hotter than Canada.
Yes, thank you very much. And we continue with the next part. And now here we have adjectives that end with Y, okay? So if the adjective ends with Y, you have to change the Y for an I and put ER. So here you say happy, happier, but the answer is like this, look, happier. So you have to change the Y. Look, the Y changed into an I, okay? Happier. So the same goes with the other ones, right? Sunnier, drier, rainier, easier, luckier, earlier, and prettier. So happy, feliz. Happier, más feliz. Okay? Sunny, soleado. Sunnier, más soleado. Dry, drier. Rainy, rainier. Easy, easier. Now pay attention to this because this is a very big and common mistake. Because many students say, teacher, that is more easy, right? More easy. They want to say más fácil, right? But we have easy. So if you say in English, more easy, that expression does not exist in English. So you don't say more easy, right? This is not correct. The correct form is easier, easier, right? For example, you can say Spanish is easier than Chinese, for example. And if you see here, we put easier than, más fácil que, right? Spanish is easier than Chinese. Okay? Let's continue with the next part of the explanation. And here we have three examples, right? I'm going to ask Maritza to read the examples for the class.
Okay. Angelina is prettier than Barbara. Girl is happier than the baby. Barcelona is sunnier than Beijing.
Okay, thank you very much. So if you see here, you're saying Angelina is prettier than Barbara. The girl is happier than the baby, right? And Barcelona is sunnier. So if you see, the Y is changed by an I, right? It's changed. And we go for the last part of the explanation, which is two or more syllables. What happens when we have long adjectives? Here we have to add more or less. This is important. Listen, difficult is a long adjective, okay? Interesting, important, beautiful, intelligent, modern, comfortable, expensive, patient. All of these ones are long adjectives. So when you have long adjectives, you have to add more plus the adjective or less. So you're going to write something like this. You can say more or you can say less. More in Spanish is más. Less is menos, right? And then here you say than. So you say, for example, more difficult than, more interesting than, more beautiful than. Okay? You're comparing, you're giving your opinions about two things. And we're going to see right now the next slide. Wait. Okay, for example, here, more difficult or less difficult, more interesting or less interesting, more important, less important, more beautiful, less beautiful, more intelligent, less intelligent, more or less, and more or less, right? So that's when you are comparing two different things, okay? And the adjective is long. And then here we have two examples. I'm going to ask Marlene to read the goals, to read the examples for the class, please. Marlene, are you there? Yes.
Okay. The diamond ring is more expensive than the plastic one. The chair is less comfortable than the sofa.
Yes, thank you very much. So, more expensive than, más caro que, less comfortable than, más barato que, or I'm sorry, menos, how do you say comfortable in Spanish? Comfortable.
Cómodo,
Yes,
confortable.
cómodo. Thank you. That's the word. I'm sorry, my Spanish is not very good. Okay, so less comfortable than, right? That's the expression. And that's it, right? And finally, we have irregular comparatives. Now, this is also an important thing because what is the comparative of good? If you say bueno, do we say más bueno? Bad, más malo? How do you say, how do we use the comparative form? Some people say, for example, teacher. They say, for example, teacher, the other teacher is more good than you. Right? When they are comparing you. Or you say, no, that's more bad, teacher. And no. Or some people say they put badder, right? That's not correct either. Okay. So you have to say the comparative form of this is better, good is better, bad is worse, far is farther. Okay, so good, better, bad, worse, far, farther.